Hello from Adventure Isle. We are doing something so cool today. This is Phoenix. He is our train enthusiast, and he is going on a very special trip today with just his mom and dad. It's just Phoenix today. We have 3 kids, but this is special just for him. We're going to take him on the Disneyland Guided Railroad Tour. It's a private VIP tour. It's 2 hours long. And what do we get to go on, Phoenix?
The Lilly Belle.
And we get to ride on the Lilly Belle. So we're going to take you guys with it for as much of it as we're allowed to take you with us. And we're going to go check it out. You ready, Phoenix?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Disneyland Railroad Guided Tour, meet here. Let's go.
Hi, we are here. We're about to go on our tour. We've just checked in and they gave us a treat and a drink. So this is like a warm apple top cinnamon roll. And then they also give you a cranberry juice cocktail. So that comes as part of the tour. It doesn't cost any extra. That already comes when you book your tour. You do get a food and a drink item. So this is what we got today. It's almost time to go on our tour. So we're gonna go, get ready to go. Come along with us. All right, we tried the cinnamon roll with apples. I actually thought it was really good, and it's warm. Like they actually brought it out of a heater, and it's pretty hot to hold, but that was good. And then also it's juice. It's sweet. I'm sure you all know what cranberry juice tastes like, but we liked it. And now we're waiting. They're going to give us like an audio tour necklace that we're going to be able to wear so we can hear what the guide is saying on the first part of our tour. And we also get some little Disneyland Railroad name tags that just arrived right now. So you get this cute little pin to wear that has your name on it. Put that on. Almost time to go.
I dressed up as a conductor, and they love my costume, so they gave me a junior conductor badge, and they also gave me a name badge.
So unfortunately, during the tour, you're actually not allowed to record any audio of the guide speaking, except when you're on the Lilly Belle. So we wanted to obviously honor that request by our tour guide while we were at Disneyland on this VIP tour, but I will give you a bunch of details from my own perspective, and we were allowed to film. So first, I'll give you a little bit of backstory and information on what this tour is and how much it costs per person and how the tour works. If you want to go on the Disneyland Railroad Guided Tour, the tour does cost $135 per person, but they do have some discounts available, like there is a discount if you use a Disney Visa credit card. And each tour group has a maximum of 12 people per one tour guide. Our awesome tour guide was Nick, and he was with us for the entire 2-hour duration of our tour. We booked our tour online on the Disneyland website, but they do sometimes have tours available same day. You can always check at Disneyland when you get there if you want to try and get a same day. Our tour start time was at 12:30, but we did have to check in 15 minutes early at 12:15 in the lobby of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Once we were all checked in for our tour, that's when we were given our cinnamon roll and our juice, plus we were given our name tags and our audio guides, and we were met with our guide, Nick. Once all of our audio guides were working and Nick was ready, we started with a walking tour all around Disneyland, and we got to learn a whole bunch of Disney history. For example, Walt Disney's original idea of Disneyland came to him while he was sitting on this bench at Griffith Park, near the Griffith Park Carousel, where he decided he wanted to create a theme park where families could go and have fun together. And what was really cool was our guide Nick would take us to different parts of Disneyland while he told us different information about Disney history. For example, we went into the Main Street Cinema while he told us about Walt's legacy with Disney animation. We also made a stop over in Frontierland and a stop under the monorail where we actually learned that the Disneyland monorail was inspired by Walt's trip to Germany and was the first daily operating monorail in the Western Hemisphere. Our guide was full of Disney history and fun facts, so it was really fun to be on the tour with him. And then one of the coolest things we got to do on this tour was we actually got to go behind this wall over by Small World into a cast member only area where we got to view the Roundhouse. If you aren't sure what the Roundhouse is, I'll explain it to you. It's a very cool 2-story building. On the bottom story of the building, they work on the Disneyland trains, and on the top floor of the building, they work on the monorail. And it's not just for working on the Disneyland train and monorail vehicles, but it's also where the vehicles are stored when they're not out on the tracks. No one except for Disneyland personnel is actually allowed to get very close to the Roundhouse or go inside of it, but we did get to view it from afar, and Nick did give us lots of cool information about the Roundhouse and how it's used. After we finished taking a glimpse of the Roundhouse, we headed over to the main event of the Disneyland Railroad Tour, and I would argue probably the most popular reason that people choose to take this guided tour, and that is that with this tour, you do get to take a Grand Circle tour of the Disneyland Railroad aboard the Lilly Belle. We were allowed to record both audio and video aboard the Lilly Belle during our Grand Circle tour, so we're going to take you with us right now to experience that. Thanks so much for watching and for coming along today on our Disneyland Railroad Guided Tour.
It's time to ride the Lilly Belle. All aboard!
welcome aboard. Oh my gosh.
We're on the Lilly Belle!
It can fit a lot.
Yeah, and look, Walt and Lilly are over there.
And I want to each of the car openings as well. This is for the own safety. We also ask that all hands, arms, legs, and feet do stay inside the train at all times. And here we go. And also keep in mind that our Maryland Square train station is currently closed. If you're looking for a venture in Frontierland near Maryland Square, make sure the station will be your closest exit. Thank you very much.
Breaks inside the train. And please watch your kids.
So we will just share with you a few minutes of us actually riding on the Lilly Belle, and then we will also share with you walking around the Lilly Belle and showing you some of the details of it. But here's a little bit of backstory. The Lilly Belle was actually the name of the railroad that was in Walt Disney's backyard. So the railroad that Walt Disney had in his backyard was actually a miniature railroad that he called the Carrollwood Pacific Railroad because they lived on Carrollwood Drive. But the miniature steam engine that was on the railroad, he named the Lilly Belle after his wife Lilly. And a little bit of a fun backstory about the Carrollwood Pacific Railroad was that Lilly and Disney did not really want a miniature train in her backyard. Walt really wanted a train. She did not really want one because she wanted this beautiful flower garden. And so their compromise was that he could build the miniature railroad, but the tunnel that he wanted to build actually had to go underneath her flower garden. And I have a ton of facts to share with you about the Lilly Belle, but I also want to make note that over there on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that there is actually a picture of Walt and Lilly on the Lilly Belle, which I think is so cute. And real quick right now, I want to show you just a quick glimpse of something I was talking about earlier, which is that we got to see the roundhouse, and we actually got to see it from the It's a Small World side of the train tracks, but we're about to pass it right now, and what it is that's the building that's 2 stories. You're going to see just a really quick glimpse of this 2-story building, and that is where they work on the trains and the monorails when they're not out on their tracks. And the roundhouse is 2 stories because the bottom story is where they work on the trains or where they're stored when they're not in use. And the second story is where they work on or store monorails when they're not in use. And then when they're ready to go out, they just come right out onto the track that you see there. One very cool thing about being on the Grand Circle Tour on the Lilly Belle is that each time we stopped at a station, we were able to get up and take videos and take pictures and walk around and explore the Lilly Belle and see all that it had to offer. So we got to stop both at the Tomorrowland station where the train is stopped right now, and then we did also get to stop later at the Main Street station. And now as we get to get up and walk around the Lilly Belle and take a better look at it, I'm also going to share with you guys a couple more fun facts that we learned from our guide. Now that we're stopped here at the Tomorrowland train station, I do want to take a quick close-up look at this picture of Walt and Lilly and Disney because this is one of my favorite things on the Lilly Belle. Obviously, Walt Disney loved trains so much, and this train was a tribute to his wife, and I think it's really adorable that there is this picture of them on the train for all the guests to enjoy. And as you can see here in the video, it is very cool. There is actually a balcony area on the Lilly Belle. We were not allowed to go out there as guests, but it is still cool that the Lilly Belle has its own outdoor balcony. Now let's walk around the Lilly Belle and take a look at some of the more intricate details on the Lilly Belle. One of the coolest stories that we were told was actually about this settee that my son is sitting on right here, this sort of double wide couch. This was actually purchased directly from the Queen Mary ocean liner, and one of the chairs that's in the Lilly Belle was also purchased with it. It was purchased as a set, and the Imagineers actually won it in an auction, and then it was put into the Lilly Belle. We also learned that the Lilly Belle is this cranberry color because Lilly and Disney's favorite color was cranberry, and that's also why we were given cranberry juice as our drink in the beginning of the tour. And while I don't have a story for the rest of these beautiful details that we're showing you here on the Lilly Belle, it was just very cool to see. There is this beautiful cranberry color all over that we're seeing. There's gorgeous flower arrangements on the Lilly Belle, and there is this really beautiful carpeting and stained glass detail, and overall it was just really beautiful to see in person. And I do want to talk about this smoking jacket that's hanging at the front of the Lilly Belle. Right when you come in, there is a black smoking jacket that's hanging at the front of the car. A lot of people think that this smoking jacket actually belonged to Walt Disney. It did not belong to Walt Disney, but the Imagineers thought it looked like something that Walt Disney might wear, and that's why it was put into the Lilly Belle. One other thing that made our tour extra special was that we were just with a group of really cool people. Everybody got along really well. Everyone was really nice to each other. And something that was really fun to do on the Lilly Belle was to change seats between stations, which everybody was happy to do.
Now, please be seated, my friends. Make sure we're seated. Please be seated, my friends.
And as we do get ready to depart, we ask everyone, please remain seated for
We're at the Main Street station. You guys are one of the
So we actually started our first segment on the Lilly Belle between Toontown Station and Tomorrowland Station, sitting towards the back of the Lilly Belle car. And while we were sitting in the back, you could see that Phoenix was sitting on that settee that was from the Queen Mary. And now that we are moving from Tomorrowland Station towards Main Street Station, we did move up towards the front of the car to get a different view on the next part of our train tour. And something that most guests of Disneyland do not realize is that Walt Disney never set foot on the Lilly Belle. Unfortunately, the Lilly Belle was not brought to Disneyland until 1974, and Walt Disney passed away in 1966. So if Walt didn't ask for the Lilly Belle, then who did? It was actually the president of Disneyland at the time who wanted a presidential parlor car, a VIP train car where they could take VIP guests and influential people around Disneyland Park in a VIP setting where they would have a lot of privacy. Now we're going to pull up and stop at Main Street Station, and again our tour guide's going to let us get up and walk around and look at the train a little bit more for you. This was our favorite part of riding the Lilly Belle. Honestly, it was very cool to be on it while it was moving, but it was also very fun to get up and explore and take a look at all the details within the train.
Of course, for those of you who have been inside Main Street Station, I take it that's just about all of you.
And while we were stopped here at Main Street Station, our son Phoenix actually noticed that Mickey Mouse was out by the front of the park by the exit, so we actually got to see a glimpse of him out of the Lilly Belle window. And now back to some more fun facts. You might hear like a buzzing noise in the back of our video. That's not bad audio. That's actually the sound of the fans that are in this train car from 1974, because there is no air conditioning within the Lilly Belle. And it's not open air like the rest of the train cars that run on the Disneyland Railroad, so the Lilly Belle actually cannot have guests in it if it is over a certain temperature outside. So you do want to keep that in mind if you're going to take the Disneyland Railroad tour, especially in the heat of summer. You may not be able to actually ride on the train if it is too hot outside. Now this picture here is quite interesting. This is what the Lilly Belle used to look like before it was transformed into the presidential parlor car that you see today. The original train car that was transformed into the Lilly Belle was actually called the Retlaw 1, and that's pretty funny because Retlaw is Walter backward. But the Retlaw 1 was taken out of service in 1974, and it was transformed into what you see now today, the Lilly Belle Presidential Railroad car. Now let's talk about some of the steam engines that pull the Lilly Belle. There are 5 steam engines that operate at Disneyland. 2 of them were original to when the park opened in 1955, and 3 of them were added after the park originally opened. All 5 of the steam engines used to be powered by burned coal, wood, or heavy oil, but in 2007 they were converted to run on biodiesel, and they are still considered to be steam engines, but they run on biodiesel. Now you may know that the original name of the Disneyland Railroad when the park opened in 1955 was actually not just the Disneyland Railroad, but it was called the Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad. This is because Walt's vision of Disneyland always included a train that ran around the outskirts of the park, but Walt in the beginning did not have the money to fund that vision. Walt needed a sponsorship, so he got sponsored by the Santa Fe Railroad, and that's why it was called the Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad when the park first opened. And this partnership/sponsorship lasted until 1974, which is actually the same year that Lilly Belle first went into service. And that partnership also has a great deal to do with the names of the trains that you still see at Disneyland today. There are 5 engines that operate at Disneyland, and 4 of them are named after people who worked with the Santa Fe Railroad Company. The only train that is not named after somebody who is associated with the Santa Fe Railroad Company is train number 5, which is called the Ward Kimball train. This train was named after Ward Kimball, a famous Imagineer and a known train enthusiast who was friends with Walt Disney. Ward Kimball was famously one of Walt Disney's 9 old men and was a very important animator who has created tons of characters that you would recognize. One of the most famous characters that Ward Kimball created was Jiminy Cricket. And so not only is train number 5 named Ward Kimball, but also if you look at the front headlamp of that train, there is a silhouette of Jiminy Cricket. Now, normally right now you do not stop at the New Orleans train station because that train station is closed while the Haunted Mansion is being refurbished. However, we did stop during our tour because if the train needs to take on water for the steam engine, this is the station where that water gets refilled. So we did stop at the New Orleans train station and get to take some more up-close looks at the Lilly Belle, and then after that we were on our way back to Toontown. And in case you ever need to win a trivia contest, I will tell you the names of all 5 Disneyland Railroad trains. The 2 original Santa Fe Railroad and Disneyland trains were the CK Holiday and the EP Ripley. The CK Holiday is actually the train that exclusively pulls the Lilly Belle. Trains number 3 and 4 were also named after personnel associated with the Santa Fe Railroad. Train number 3 is the Fred Gurley, and train number 4 is the Ernest S. March. And of course, train number 5 is the only train named after an Imagineer, the Ward Kimball train. After about a full 5-minute stop so that the train could take on water for the steam engine, we are now headed back to our last and final stop, back to Toontown where we started. And a couple more fun facts about new history about the Disneyland Railroad is that big changes did happen for the Disneyland Railroad when Galaxy's Edge was built at Disneyland. The 2 biggest changes that came with Galaxy's Edge was that the location of the roundhouse had to be moved because the old location was actually over by Galaxy's Edge and could no longer be there since Galaxy's Edge was going to be built. And the second fact is that for the first time in the history of Disneyland Railroad, the train has to make a left-hand turn. Originally, the train just went in a straight circle. It only ever went to the right. But when Galaxy's Edge was built, the train now has to turn left. You can see the train about to turn left here. And it actually kind of creaks and makes weird noises when it turns left because the engine was not used to having to make this type of turn that has to be made now because of the location of Galaxy's Edge. And now, as we head back to Toontown, I'm going to share with you one of my absolute favorite fun facts and Easter eggs that I learned on the Guided Railroad Tour. You'll actually need to shine a light out the window in order to see this Easter egg, which our guide so helpfully did. But as you go through this tunnel, if you look on the right-hand side, there are actually posters hiding inside this tunnel. There are actually 3 posters hiding within this tunnel. You can see the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland poster, a Rainbow Caverns Mine Train poster, and a Grand Canyon poster. They are very hard to spot, and you definitely need to shine your flashlight at that wall we just showed you in order to see them. If you don't know this piece of Disney history, the Rainbow Caverns Mine Train opened in 1956 at Disneyland and then later was changed over to be the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. This was a small miniature train ride, but unfortunately it wasn't thrilling enough for guests, so it closed in order to make room for Big Thunder Mountain. And now we are at the end of our Grand Circle tour. We are back to Toontown Station and it is time for us to get off of the Lilly Belle, but they do give us one more fun surprise at the end of our tour.
2023 Mickey's Toontown. I believe it's not going to be here until this winter. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the Tiana's Fruit Water Tower, and all that. So, consider yourself lucky, right? We're going to hand these out to each and every single one of you guys who had their earpiece.
We went on the Disneyland Railroad Guided Tour and I loved it.